All right, so we are on. Hey, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. This is the TGS Vault Peddlers stream, where Corey and I sit down and we make a tabletop RPG game. We're in the middle of kind of revamps and redesigns. We're remodeling a lot of our core mechanics following a pretty informative playtest that we had about a month ago. Today we're going to be talking a lot about our caravan resources, which is a component in the game that gives you kind of additional boosts for important roles, but we'll get to that here in just a minute. First, we have a couple of cool little things to throw at you, which is super fun. First thing, background ballads yesterday was super fun. Expect to see a finalized version of The Cursed Crown. It should be available on DriveThruRPG. Should be sometime next week. As for last week's, the last background ballads song, Into the Sunset, that is currently on DriveThruRPG now. I'm dropping the link in the chat right now, so you can check that out. This is like a great little track for you to use like during overland travel, if your party is like exploring like a happy little town, maybe like a happy ending, like as your characters ride off into the sunset. But that is available now. And on Corey's end, on our visual end, Corey, your shit's been generating kind of a buzz on Twitter over the last, 2 days.
Finally buzzworthy.
You're finally buzzworthy. And I want to show off this thing that is so buzzworthy. Check this shit out, guys. Look at this fucking beautiful, beautiful boy. This is Corey's new design for the Ember Fight, which is our kind of tree plant species. It is to put it in the words of one commenter on Twitter, it is mildly uncomfortable, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm not done shading this bad boy, but I don't know, I dig it. I showed it to a friend and they mentioned that they really liked that. Because they posted me a picture, they're like, this is kind of what I always saw, and it was just like a regular tree person. And that was like kind of the issue with plant people, right? Like they're all Ents.
Right.
And they mentioned that they dig that it's like, I don't know, there's more to the plant life on it than like just a tree.
Yeah.
Or an ecosystem.
Well, the way that you have these little like flowers and stuff coming out of the top of them, it implies that it's more than just one kind of plant, which is cool. Because you're right, like, and I think that I did this for a really long time. Hey,
that's
Busy.
cool.
It's very cool. It's very cool. I think I did this for a really long time with Ember Fights. Was like I definitely envisioned them as like kind of Ent-like characters. Because I think that's just like when you hear about tree people, that or something like it is just kind of the image that immediately comes to mind. So like I'm very excited that you've taken this very surrealist take on what like a plant life species might look like. The giant belly button mouth just makes me so uncomfortable. Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out how to get like a face on the body for a while. Actually, like for the past week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. Like that was kind of like my idea. It's like I like the idea of like face middle.
Face middle.
I couldn't crack this for a long time, and then I ended up using like my base shapes are like a lot more layers.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The mouth just kind of formed where the stomach is, and that top part, that's the sexual organs.
Oh, sick. So, like, it's literally, like, mating is just literally, like, it's not hanging down, it's rising up.
Mating is actually fairly passive and communal. Because I've been doing like a lot of like figuring out like the like I don't, physiology is probably
the intricacies of how our PC species fuck.
No, well, yeah, and how like the sex of trees work.
Right.
Exclamates, it is male, and if a tree flowers and fruits, it is female. And there's really no way to like tell the difference between the two except just them doing that. And then there's a bunch of like intersex stuff for trees. So my basic idea is that like the sexed female, like the sexed lady parts, female are going to like have fruits and are fruiting, and the males are going to be like producing pollination, and that's like kind of leaning into the idea that like breeding is kind of communal. Like it's very, we talked about like kind of a tribal nature to these people, and I think like it speaks to the communal thing where it's just like that's what happens, and like you grow like a little ember fight in your head because it's basically like a potting soil. But also like intersex species exist too, right? Like so like if they're like reeds and grasses, then they're intersex. But here's the thing that's really cool, Taylor. Because they bear the child up top, like in that ecosystem,
right?
Any one of them can carry the child.
Sure, it's like a little kangaroo pouch.
Well, no, even like you could transfer the embryo to an intersex one that like doesn't traditionally carry, or like a male that doesn't traditionally carry.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who carries it. Like anyone can carry it. So like, yeah, dog, it's cool.
So it's like a Kanga Groot.
It's like a well.
Hey! Before you answer, can you like acknowledge that was pretty good? that was worth something a little bit.
It's more of a junior situation.
Junior?
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito, where Arnold Schwarzenegger gets pregnant.
I actually haven't seen that movie.
Yeah, it came out.
It sounds like a horror show.
Rom-com.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, I mean, like that's it. I think it like leans into the communal aspect of them. I don't know. I'm really excited about this design. So I'm gonna draw them a lot more.
Yeah, no, it's a very cool, very neat thing. I'm super excited to see it develop, and I hope all of you are too. Noggin, clearly on the right page. Good times.
All we talk about here.
It's our only thing. You came here for post-apocalypse storytelling? Nah, tree fucking. That's us.
Well, Taylor won't let me show the other picture I have because it's the other picture I found on the internet to explain how the builders have sex.
Oh, it's just snails fucking, dog.
It's slugs, and it's very beautiful.
I feel like, honestly, our description during our last session was pretty...
It was pretty good, right?
It was pretty descriptive. It didn't leave a lot to the imagination.
We crushed that. We no-scoped that.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, you can have a visual aid if you really need it, but I don't think you do.
I would like to talk about something that I'm like going to have to be moving towards a bit, and like...
Yeah, go for it.
Aesthetically, I would like to find like a frame of reference for kind of clothing. Like I know we got the whole post-apocalyptic thing, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Like when we initially started Vault Peddlers, we had like this like Renaissance sort of like kind of vibe going in our heads, which I wouldn't mind like trying some of that shit out on.
Yeah.
I think a post-apocalyptic like Renaissance-y sort of look might be dope. Like musketeers and shit.
Well, it's the kind of thing where like it doesn't make sense that everybody's in like nomad leathers or anything like that, because again, this is not the post-apocalypse, right? This isn't like Survivors. This is actual civilizations and all that. At the same time, you are like road-weary travelers. So I don't know, like a part of me thinks that like mixing that Renaissance style with like crazy steampunk engines and all that, having that anachronism, I think is like a cool way to like kind of sell the aesthetic of the game. But yeah, man, that is a challenge that I am very happy to not have be mine as not the visual guy of this game. You're coming in muted on my end.
I am?
Oh, okay, nope, now you're back.
Oh, did it show muted?
It didn't show muted. No, I just saw your mouth moving and I got no sound.
Weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I don't know. That's like, I don't know, something I'm gonna have to start playing around with soon. Right now, Vault Peddlers is really gelling into a visual style, and I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, no, it's all of the races or species are coming together in really cool ways. I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. Actually, Corey, do we have initial designs for all of the species? I know we have them for tunnelers, Polyutar. We have them now for Emberphytes.
I think I have to reapproach the Arache.
Yeah, and we still don't have like a final first draft on builders, right? What?
We have like a general... Yeah, we do not. We do
not. Okay, yeah.
But we got a general idea.
A horrifying general idea. All right, cool. Well, so yeah, those are kind of our initial just announcements, just cool stuff to show you before we kind of dive into stuff today. Again, check out some of the art that we've been posting on like Twitter and other social media. Corey's design work is fucking incredible. It's like one of my favorite parts about making this game is the weird shit he sends me at like 1 a.m. being like, hey, look at this. And then I have nightmares for like days on end. But also, if you do have time, check out Into the Sunset. It's a super fun track. I had a fucking blast making it. And I think that you'll love it as a GM.
Taylor's making OST for our game. It's very cool.
It is. I don't want to get into another rant about how important and cool it is to have original music for your players, but it fucking is. Take my word for it. It's the fucking best.
I actually just thought of like if we like include a or whatever, like you could do themed songs to like areas and shit, and like that'll be dope. Cool.
Yeah, no, I 1,000% could do that. I don't know. Maybe that can be my responsibility during our next playtest. Is I just live score the whole thing. I've got a looper pedal. I can live loop into this shit.
It's just fucking like hard house.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be boom, boom, boom. Anyways, okay, cool. So let's talk Caravan. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this system, Vault Peddlers is all about the post collapse, in which this kind of capitalist hellscape has taken over. I know it's a stretch. Try to imagine it, where people are forced into a gig economy, forced to work these like multiple jobs that, you know, end up with you having to balance all of these different responsibilities at once. The Caravan is what you as a Vault Peddler live in. Right? It's like we originally had it envisioned as kind of a mobile society, like 50 plus people in like the biggest caravans. We're revisiting those concepts now to try and make them fit in a little bit better with our kind of streamlined core mechanics that Corey has so generously taken like the last couple of weeks to really flesh out. What we have already done here on this subject in the past, we've listed out kind of the roadmap to what we need to do. Province progression is now linked to how long you wear a certain province role. Reset when the player decides how to switch them. We also have a related regression to the job section of the Caravan. We're going to be paring that down into just kind of our original provinces that sort of make up Vault Peddlers. We also need to reshape our dice progression from large to small. I think that's going to be the quickest edit. That one's the easiest. We also had a suggestion that at the end of the session, the Archivist upgrades the most used caravan die to the next lowest die. Oh my god, Arya Emmett, thank you so much. We appreciate the subscribe. Thank you. You're like, goddamn, that just came out of nowhere.
Hell yeah.
We also had a suggestion at the end of the session, the Archivist upgrades the most used caravan die to the next lowest die, while the remaining 3 schools downgrade to the next highest die type. And then finally, we need to create a sliding rating system for the caravan progression.
Like one thing we definitely talked about and both still want.
Wait,
it needs to be like, one thing we both talked about, and one thing I think we still want, is there needs to be like a drain on your caravan rating.
Yeah.
So like a backslide, so there is no final goal necessarily, like, because we're trying to avoid this being like Dungeons and Dragons with straight linear growth. You reach your capstone, that's the end of the game. It's supposed to be like ebb and flow. You can like make lateral moves, and like maybe it doesn't matter if you like you gotta kind of play it like, hey, maybe we can lose this star rating. In exchange, we get like, you know, so much petty coin or whatever.
Right.
A better wallet. So we need to determine how to do that. So one thing we want to keep star rating. We definitely want to keep entity. Do we want to keep? We're not. Are we going to keep goals and IP here? Like.
So, I need to think about how we are looking at this. Arya, we're doing phenomenal. Hope you're doing well on your end. We are in the process of revamping our caravan system, so feel free to chime in if you have suggestions for things you want to see.
As a little lowdown, our caravan system is like it is a joint character sheet that everyone kind of gets to play on, that like you as a group get to do, instead of just your character sheet. You know, you'll individually be in charge of.
Yeah. So let's take this up to the actual caravan section, and take a look at what we want to
Get rid of.
Yeah, what we want to keep and what we want to get rid of. So our current steps for creating a caravan is determine the intent and level of your caravan attributes, which it actually sounds like that's going to stay relatively the same, right? Other than that, we're switching the die progression from large to small. That's going to stay the same, right?
And we're also going to like define the actual intent word bank a bit more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Definitely going to either pare that down or maybe just offer some more concise suggestions for what those intents look like. For reference, we have kind of a suggested listing of those intents here, but I don't know, we did run into some issues with that on the playtest, where people weren't really sure how to apply those to like different schools. So one thing I was thinking, maybe we have specialized suggestions for each individual school. Like R&D has scientific, mystical, diligent, and practical, and then
I don't hate that.
Yeah, and then support has like diplomatic, scheming, empathetic, whatever. And maybe that's an easier way to do that.
We could tie the provinces to the different schools somehow, and then the way you interact with, because the thing we wanted to talk about was like the way you interact with things being based on your province, like a limited sort of class. Maybe we could have that interaction be like based on like the word choices you're choosing, or like if you're a spoiler, you're probably involved with R&D, right? By design, research and design. That's what you're working. Yeah. So if it's like mystical R&D, like maybe your spoiler does different things depending on.
Oh, maybe that's your Weaver, right?
Yeah.
Like
that's
a
like
Weaver
how you
subclass.
Yeah, that's like how you get there.
Okay.
It would also like make interesting through because the difficult thing here is we're talking about if provinces shift, we're talking about like having the interaction between provinces sort of dictating different things that you can do. So the longer you stay on one, maybe you get different abilities, but we would have to make it so that losing it wasn't as big a deal, right? Like, if they're supposed to be mobile, there could be advantageous reasons for slotting other ones together.
Right.
That maybe, like, if you take a little dip in, like, what you could do petty coin, it's not as big a deal because, like, it's not a huge loss. Which, again, we could make, like, instead of, like, having resources and jobs, we could have like I'm just spitballing here, but if we're leaning into the treasure hunting thing,
yeah,
we could have like relic items that operate only in the context of the caravan, like okay. So you can get like a bank, so you can have your coffers be this much larger. You can get like a different relics that do things for the caravan that can maybe affect either interaction or like maybe it makes it more advantageous to have scientific R&D, something right. Like that. Just spitballing, but that could kind of get rid of the idea of cohorts, and it would get rid of the idea of like quirks and shit like that, because we could have relics be like kind of cursed objects too, where it's like there's give and take on them.
Okay. So yeah, I love the idea of paring this down to as few steps as possible and making it just. I think that definitely reflects with like the whole rest of our approach to making this game. So.
Well then. If we were to going even further, then if we're going to do it as a questionnaire, we could do like if we have like 5 different associations that you can have with each school. It's like we have a question and there's 5 answers, right, for each school. Each one of those being associated with a word. You all agree on it. We word it in the same kind of vague way we did the things, and that's what you pick.
Okay.
Then you all like pick one of the starting relic items. Create a framework for that. You create your entity name, and then you just place your beginning stats. Like you get, what was it we decided? You get 1d6, 1d.
Let me have a look here.
8, 1d10, 1d12.
Well, actually, so our current system actually uses an XP point buy, which we have to get rid of.
We talked about this at the end of last session, I think.
Oh, okay. I did not write this down then. What was the idea?
The idea being that like you guys get 4 die types basically: a D12, a D10, a D6, a D12, a D10, a D8, and a D6, and you slot one in each. The idea here being like, you can game one and get it up to a D4, but the other 3 are going to drop. So like you're constantly playing that juggling game, which I really like.
Okay.
Let's Arya, let's talk about caravan resources. So in our game, like how your caravan approaches the world is codified by like these tags that you're putting on it. And by leaning into it, you're leaning into your caravan's strengths. And so you get to utilize more of the caravan's resources, which is represented abstractly or concretely with dice. So there's like a shopping section in the middle with like all of your basic adventuring supplies. So you don't have to buy that stuff while you're going. You can grab it off the shopping list for the cost of a die, or you can just add a die to a roll. and it increases your chances of success. And it's very fun. But the idea here is that, it's hard to maintain that because you've got so much to juggle as a burgeoning entity.
Hell yeah. Okay, cool. So tell you what then. This is going to be, let's have this be our new blueprint, right?
Okay.
So first things first, the first thing that you're doing is you are determining, or you're answering a questionnaire. So answering the questionnaire regarding the intent for your chosen school, or for each school. Assigning the relevant intent. The next step then is choosing a reliquary item associated. Did you say associated with each department? So each caravan starts with 4, or it's just 1?
No, I think 1. In fact, I think the next step is that you put your polyhedral die into the appropriate.
Okay, yeah. So assign polyhedral die to each school. I'm actually just going to keep it as straightforward as that. And then it's reliquary item?
Yeah. Should we codify the starting die, a D10, a D12, a D8, a D6?
So we are going to codify that further down. What we're providing here is just the intro to the caravan creation. So it's literally just a very short. Yeah. This is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And then the sections below will detail what those are.
Everyone pick your. Do you think pick your starting province as the end, at the very end, or somewhere in the beginning?
Well, so let's actually talk about that, because province is the biggest change we're making to Caravan. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, which I assume is most of you, province used to be Vault Peddlers' equivalent of like a class system, like what you'd get in D&D. Like you have a rogue, you have a fighter. In our game, you have like a spoiler, you have a pharaoh, you have a reckoner. We had a lot of trouble correctly assigning these things and deciding what they meant in the individual caravan creation. And then after this playtest, we had this crazy realization that like, if this stuff is your job on the caravan, then it makes a lot of sense that this thing would be directly related to the caravan, and so it should be under the caravan section itself. So the biggest redesign that we're making here is we're trimming down what used to be your cohort. We used to have like 1 million jobs on here, like blacksmith, baker, chemist, whatever. And now those province roles, the pharaoh, the spoiler, the reckoner, those are now the members of your cohort.
I would go so far as to say that, like, yeah. If we're talking, like, let's clear a couple things up, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking the provinces here, are there auxiliary people in your team, or is it literally your party is your treasure hunter?
I kind of like the idea that there's one additional person. Because the idea that I have, at least, is that most groups in tabletop are 3 to 4 players, usually. And there are 4 schools here, so I like the idea that a party of 3 plus 1 NPC who stays with the caravan and maybe is assigned to one of these groups, right? Would be kind of like an what's the word? Like an envoy or some kind of a coworker that you would have on the caravan.
He would be your dispatch.
Yeah, that's basically it, right? It's
like leaning into the truck. He would be your dispatch.
Yeah.
So okay, you have 1 NPC. Then one thing we are going to have to talk about is that's asymmetrical, right? If dispatch has to stay with your shit because your shit can't get taken, right? Like, yeah. They have to provide resources to you. We are getting rid of the other jobs, so now the jobs are just the provinces. So,
Right.
we are going to have to asymmetrically codify something, which is that your dispatch and the way they interact with their job when they are on dispatch is different than how you would handle it in the field, right? Like, it just has to be. They have to be able to do different things because they are functionally in a different role.
Okay.
And because we got rid of the other jobs, and we are narratively pushing on the idea that, like, your province is your current job, your current set of responsibilities within the group.
Yeah.
And you can change that at any point. That means that they also have to get picked as a job, like pick a job as you pick jobs.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that.
I don't actually hate it. I think I think that asymmetry in games is interesting.
Yeah.
I think that it, like, makes for a fun thing if we are all, like, if we keep this lightweight and we have our provinces and they all do different things, which is something we should talk about right now as well, which is, like, narratively, why do they do different things?
We also need to actually clarify, what do they do? Because because one of the biggest things that we found out during our playtest was that nobody used the province abilities that we made. They completely overlooked them. They weren't seen as important. So, like, we're also going to have to revisit that as well.
So let's provinces need to provide unique abilities with money or other players, which is what we were talking about last time. With, like, they can only interact with money or other players, and they need to come with a set of responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Like, they have to have that, like, balancing act where you have to get shit done.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if they interact with each other in novel ways, you create these paradigms where it's like that's the draw to switch, right? Like, certain jobs are going to be easier if we have a reckoner and a pharaoh and, like, someone running tactics, somebody running, like, front lines, somebody running
sure.
And then dispatch behaving in whatever way.
I almost think that the dispatch character maybe shouldn't fill any of these roles, and that maybe they should just be handling dispatch. Maybe that's just their job. Because the thing that immediately strikes me is there are going to be some jobs that, frankly, like a reckoner is useless in dispatch. That's not where their skill set lies. Yeah. Like, a spoiler would be a great dispatch, but then that potentially takes away from another player who might want to be a spoiler for a particular job.
So then maybe, because if we're talking about, like, you running specific things when you take on these roles, right? Like, I'm not doing Reckoner because I'm necessarily the most physically capable one, but I am the one who's going to take on the frontline role right now.
Yeah.
And, like, when I am in that job, that is my responsibility. So maybe, like, we talked about, like, setting up paradigms between, like, different group aspects, like, if you have people in different positions.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way that dispatch interacts differently, right? Like, because they're handling that, like, overall puppet mastery kind of role of, like, organizing all of you as dispatch.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, it's your different formations that changes how they interact. Because my only worry about having an NPC there and not having them actively doing something is now we just have an NPC that follows along, and that's fine, but now it's in the same position we were in before, right? Like, it feels like if we're going to do it, we need to actively have it doing something.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to have NPCs that are more involved than any of our caravan members were during the playtest. Um,
I mean, let's call it here. I liked your idea of having one other NPC. You have dispatch. That's what they do. That's what their job. Like, we can put that on the caravan sheet. You define who they are.
yeah.
Or maybe does the GM? Do you?
I also just like the idea that maybe the combinations are things that players can make on their end. But the provinces themselves are individual bonuses. So like an example would be, if you have a reckoner in your party, then everybody gets to add 1 die to their roll when they're in a combat situation.
Sure. Yeah.
Or something to that effect. Like, I like the idea that's just as simple.
That kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that because that kind of solves the issue of like, why can I do different things with this when I have this job? You know, like, why does money behave different? I mean, other than the fact that money is magic, which is great, but like, it does feel like a Luke Water way to explain something.
Right.
Who's my favorite Star Wars character? Luke Water?
Fuck.
It was good.
It was good. It was really good. I'm stunned.
Let me just take this on the heels of that phenomenal joke. If you are just joining us, we are Terramundi Game Studio, and we do good jokes here. No,
we do great jokes, guys.
We build tabletop games. We have been building this game, Vault Peddlers, which is sort of a science fantasy post-collapse rust punk nightmare. More surrealist now than ever. We've been building it for the better part of a year. Actually, we're going on 2 years now. Here soon.
Yeah, not too long.
Yeah.
Because it was like January or February when we started.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna be going to PAX Unplugged this year in December, and like that'll be very close to our 2-year anniversary, and it'll be the first time that Corey and I have sat down in person and actually like played this game.
But yeah, that's what we do. That's what we've been doing. I mean, it's a blast. Follow us if you're interested in tabletop mechanics. If you have questions about Vault Peddlers, about the setting, about game mechanics in general, hey, ask us. We've been doing it for a while. So.
God, yeah. I have learned so much in this project, and I learn a ton just from people commenting in with like different suggestions and like potential problems that they see that we fucking don't. So yeah, we love your input. We love getting to see like what the community thinks of the game. Like early responses to some of the art and music that we've put out has been just phenomenal.
On that note, if you are just joining us, better drive through RPG and check out the music that Taylor does.
What up?
Making OST for a game, and it's very
You'll find the link up in the chat. Go listen to it. It's good. And it's also completely free. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and I think we should tackle our biggest problem first. And it sounds like that's the provinces, right?
Yeah, let's start. You want to start with something easy that we already have?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
Let's put 5 word tags in each of these different schools so that we can.
Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. So R&D.
R&B.
R&B music. I think scientific is kind of a shoe-in for R&D, right?
Yeah.
Let me see.
I like the mystical aspect of R&D a lot.
For sure. I want to throw something just totally weird in there. Let's do... I kind of like the idea of like mad scientist, like a scheming R&D. I don't know if that fits. Feel free to reject that.
Experimental?
Isn't okay? So, this is where we need to pare it down. Is not.
Sort of.
I was gonna say, is not all R&D kind of experimental?
Experimental, yeah. what's the word? We're looking for unhinged, right? Like
I
what's
like-
the unhinged?
Can we just use unhinged? I kind of like that.
Does it fit the aesthetic of scientific, mystical? Mad? Mad feels weird.
I mean, it makes sense if you say like mad scientist. I'm just worried that mad is going to be a little bit confusing.
Right. And that's that we're trying to find the one word answer to mad scientist.
What do
Yeah.
you call a collective of mad scientists?
Let's hop over. Let's just put mad scientist for right now as
Okay.
like the placeholder.
Yeah.
Scientific, mystical,
Practical?
mad scientist.
Like a MacGyver or like
I mean, yeah, like somebody who's just kind of using, like, fixing everyday problems on the caravan using just very, like, nuts and bolts engineering. Like,
Okay.
or maybe something that's a little more short-sighted and focuses only on fixing immediate problems and not really, like, long-term planning.
Stopgap.
Oh, I like stopgap. Stopgap is very cool. Okay, and then we would want one more if we're going to do 5. Noggin Dude. Unstable is a really good...
For mad scientist.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay,
Mad
cool.
scientists are one.
So we need one more. So we're looking at scientific. We're looking at myth. Oh, yeah. What?
What about warlike? We haven't had like an R&D that like focuses primarily on like weapons technology. Maybe militant? What up, Elstragoon?
Like-
Nice to have you with us.
Oh, damn! There he is.
Ah, damn! There's the boy.
Hell's Dragoon. I mean, my
We're-
glasses do a wild
We're
thing.
coming up with tags for the different R&D schools to try and simplify the process.
My only worry is that, like, if we do that, does scientific feel weaker? Does mystical feel weaker? Like, because both of those things
Could
can
be
make
used
weapons,
for-
right? Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah,
Um,
so I don't know. The way that I interpret both of those is really more like information based and like wanting to learn more about the world.
So it is your approach to how you like make things, right? If I'm doing things in a scientific way, I'm doing things in a mystical way. I'm doing things stopgap because it's practical, I don't have much. Or I'm doing things in an unstable way because it's extremely experimental. It's like an internalized thing.
Yeah.
So what would be like a natural approach, a naturalized approach?
Holistic? Oh, well, I don't want to use holistic because we
Yeah,
already
we can't use that,
yeah, we've already
yeah.
got that in the game.
Like a sort of druidic kind of approach.
Noggin Dude put bellicosi. I don't know this word. I'm sorry.
I don't either. You
I
have
don't-
to use dumb words for us.
Don't talk over me with your fancy degrees. Kind of militant. Gotcha.
I kind of like the naturalized approach, right? Like grown. Farmer.
Well, so what does that mean? Like, in your opinion?
It's a farmer. I'm grown whip.
It's just ag tech, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
I make plows.
I made a plant that shoots you in the fucking head. Well, no, like I think it would be like it would be more like that. that's solar punkistic, right? Like using the correct technology for the correct reason, like making things that are like harmonious, like
Noggin dude put like bioengineer, something like that.
Aesthetic. It's just we only make things that are aesthetically pleasing.
If it's not visually streamlined, then fuck it. I don't want anything. I don't want anything to do with this. Don't you dare put my name on this.
Yeah, these are like styles of research. So basically, we had like the intent set up before, where like you could pick from this big list of things. We're trying to trim that down a bit for each what are we calling these?
School is the current word.
Yeah, for each school, so that like we can bring our caravan creation in line with our current character creation, which is like a questionnaire. So it's like you answer one of these questions for each of these, and of the 5 answers, each one kind of puts you in one of them.
And
I kind of like bioengineer.
Bioengineer?
But it does feel like scientific.
It does, feel a lot like Phyrexian. Look at you with that $5 word. I don't know what that means either. What are all these smart people doing in our chat? Go away.
I kind of like aesthetic.
Ruthless tested on animals style of research. That's what Phyrexian is, I'm assuming? That's pretty metal, in all honesty, and it's something we don't... Well, it is unstable.
Yeah, maybe we can replace unstable with Phyrexia. It's like super bad and scientific.
Will people know what that is, though, if we put that in? I mean, that's my only concern with it.
Oh, it's Magic the Gathering word. Do they own it? Hold on. Do they own it? It seems like one they own.
Have they copyrighted Phyrexian?
Probably. Okay, let's move on to something else while we... Although I stand by aesthetic. I like the idea that is just we only make sleek shit. Doesn't matter if it works. We got big business loans on the case, and it's all about optics.
You can't literally use Phyrexian. Okay, well there you go. It sounds like it's copyrighted. All right, so let's go with support. I think that in the vein of the Happy Hammers, we can't not do threatening. I think that's in the Constitution now. Yeah. I think that has to be an option. I think we should save diplomatic for command. It makes the most sense. Merrymaking definitely fits.
Support. Merrymaking, for sure.
Yeah. I think...
probably like emote. What is it when I'm emotive? What's that called? Empathic.
Okay.
Empathic.
Yeah.
Well, so we pragmatic. The stopgap is sort of is the idea of pragmatic, right?
Yeah, that would definitely be correct. It's very much focused on like, here are our current problems. This is the best way to solve them, and that's kind of it. That's as far as like the R&D goes. So that would be something for like a more low technology caravan.
Happy. Threatening.
So I like philosophical for this. Definitely makes some sense.
Yeah. I kind of like philosophical for command.
I've been watching a lot of Star Trek TNG, and that does actually track. So yeah, we'll keep that then. So here's the thing. There's other stuff on here like stingy and diligent and witty, and like those things are unique adjectives, but I'm not sure
they fit.
Like witty, I guess, is like actionable in the sense that like if you make a clever pun supporting your caravan, you get a dice, right? Because that's ultimately what this is about.
Right. Yeah.
So I think witty could possibly work.
Okay.
Although
Hold
I feel like that would be merrymaking by
it's merrymaking.
its step.
Under intel, let's fill in some of the other ones. It's not
Yeah.
just like stay narrative. Intel, let's put scheming.
Yeah, 1000%.
And then let's put militant under command, philosophical under command.
Militant, philosophical,
Ooh. How
diplomatic.
about stoic for support? Like if you're not taking, like you're putting yourself in danger so that others, may, like you're not complaining about it. You are taking it on like in stride.
Okay. More just trying to think about how you would, how you'd make
Maybe
that an actionable thing.
Maybe like some sort of self-sacrificial thing for support.
I mean, that just seems like a super high bar to get an additional dice, right?
Yeah.
I think that we can keep stoic on there, but we'll definitely need to reapproach it and just make sure that we actually have something. Right now, we're just in kind of a brainstorming.
How about fair?
Fair for intel, like fair. Like we honorable, we lawful, we do our deals.
Like we get all our information from the county fair. That's
Well, no, like we follow through.
oh, hello.
Constabulary.
Say all of that again. You completely cut out on my end.
Like you go about things in the appropriate manner. You go to the actual authority on the subject.
So it's the opposite of scheming.
Yeah. Quite the opposite. It's overhanded deals.
Okay, yeah, I'm into that. I also really like the idea of cooperative. Like you have, by definition, your caravan has like a good reputation and a good relationship with other caravans, and so they're willing to give you information. It's more about like building trust.
Feels a lot like overhanded deals, but maybe I like cooperative better than what I said.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of overlap. Do you want to keep fair or cooperative?
Too cooperative. I think it's a better word.
Okay. Let's see here.
This is my favorite part of our stream when we think of words.
Yeah, it is the best and worst part of this because let me tell you folks, you never feel dumber than when you can't come up with more than like 2 adjectives for something.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for real, dude.
absolutely.
What about a support system that like
Valued like the giving of, I don't know what that would be, like generous?
Okay, so a generous support. So I guess my question is, how would that be super different than like an empathetic support? That feels
It's very similar, right?
Yeah, that feels like giving as well.
It's the giver. You just read them the giver, and every time you read the entirety of the giver to the table,
Yeah. And everybody's
gonna
just
die.
like, oh yeah, I feel a lot better now. Thank you.
that's never really how I felt after reading the giver.
I mean, yeah, it's a rough book. It's a rough book, which makes it all the weirder why they give it to like 13-year-olds.
Hey, here's a fucking, you want to hear some fucking wild change that my fucking 7th grade teacher gave us that wasn't the giver?
What?
She made us read Jonathan Livingston Seagull in 7th grade.
I am not familiar with Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Interesting, because it is a like very cerebral approach to the idea of freedom and integrity based entirely from the perspective of a seagull, and not the kind of book that a 7th grader should read.
Huh. Neat. My high school lit teacher had us read a book called The Power of One, which was about a white boy in Africa that got bullied by black kids, but it's okay because he went back as an adult and beat the shit out of one of the black kids who bullied him, and it turned out that like one of the, like the bully that he fought ended up having like a terrible life, and he was like misfigured and like working in a coal mine or some shit. And like he beat him near to death in the coal mine in front of all of his friends, already living a shitty life, and the book is like wants you to think that that's like a huge accomplishment. Like, great job.
Weird evidence that they gave alongside of it.
Yeah, weird. Just a weird book, and very indicative of my education in Cumming, Georgia.
Oh, that's a fun one. I'm gonna put Cumming under.
There you go. It's they're very empathetic.
Salacious kind of intel.
Okay, I'd like to get at least one more in intel.
Something that feels scheming. Maybe scheming's too broad.
Scheming might be too broad. What do you have in mind?
I was gonna say, what's the word for like doing a Trojan? It's like, well, that's scheming.
I'm pretty sure that's not even differentiated from scheming at all. I think that's just scheming.
What if we do it as Trojan horse, but you have to do a Trojan horse?
Do a Trojan horse. Okay, no, think about it. This is like ways you get information from people, right? That's what intel is.
Yeah.
So we have scheming, we have cooperative. What about technological, right? Maybe you have like a computer whiz,
using,
right?
Like, gear and shit to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe scheming and cooperative are the wrong words, because like networking is a good way to get intel. It doesn't matter like if I'm doing it in a cooperative way or if I'm doing it in a scheming way. It's the like means by which we get information. I don't think we could have either of those.
What about instead of cooperative, maybe interpersonal? Like you're just like you're good at like socially getting.
Yeah. Like, I was gonna say networking, and those feel like different things, but the same thing.
Networking is just a little bit broader, so I actually like networking for that. Noggin dude, intimidating is kind of the same as threatening.
But threatening's not under. Oh,
yeah,
and we have
it's under support. And I feel like out of respect to the Happy Hammers, I just don't feel right moving it out of support.
He is afraid of Hank, and that is the only
I
thing
am
that's
afraid
going
Hank
on.
will pop into this plane of reality.
Sock puppets only.
And beat the hell out of me after giving like a 3-hour-long puppet show on like why it's wrong to take things away from people.
Tell you what, let's put intimidating down, and then let's just generating word.
Okay.
Right. I see.
Yeah.
Command.
Okay. So, one's keeping contracts coming in, feel out possible new clients, and determine where the caravan moves next. So let's actually, I want to re-examine that definition. So finding new contracts is definitely a part of the game, but we want command to be something that is actionable on a regular basis. And you're only going to be looking for new contracts like one session out of every 6, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So wouldn't a better definition of command being something to the effect of like, this is how you rally the troops, this is how you strategize, this is how you make field plans?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so 1 second here. Keep new contracts coming in, while also strategizing and observing their surroundings for potential problems and solutions. I want to make command a little bit more actionable.
Yeah, sure. I like it.
Okay. So, yeah, militant, philosophical, diplomatic. I think that those still work, right?
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that those are fine.
Okay, so here's like an easy one then. Anarchistic. Like, maybe we have a caravan that has a very, very loose command structure.
So here, my only issue with that is like it's going to feel like that anyways, right? Like it is by design. It is by council, right? Like you are the council. You like it's by community.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's
already pretty anarchistic.
It's already anarchy.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we removed the idea of like this being a larger community, we've removed like that part of that.
That's true. You don't really have troops to rally anymore. It's just
I wonder if we could replace. I wonder if we could. Yeah, that's actually was my question. I wonder if we replace.
Wait, say that again.
No, it doesn't work. I refuse.
What doesn't work? I don't even. You've completely lost me.
I was gonna say we could replace command with just like what dispatch does.
Oh. Well, no, because I don't want to do that either. Because then that's gonna be. First off, that would be more intel than command. Unless like you were just saying that the dispatcher is the leader of your caravan, which you could do. But even then, that would make the command school completely unactionable. Because you wouldn't be able to do anything with it. No, I think that doing something like this still works. You can still have a command. Elstragoon. So this is the same. It's the same format as the playtest that you played in. All that we're doing is we're tailoring intents directly to the schools themselves. So the way you guys had like threatening support and you guys used it a bunch to like generate additional die. That's basically all that this is. We're tying them to individual words to try and make it feel a little bit more intuitive and to make it a little bit quicker and straightforward.
Intel could also be like research, right? Like studious, like.
Okay, I mean, archival.
Yeah, archival. Yeah, I like that. It's like it's our library use.
Yeah.
And if you've played any tabletop game,
most important skill.
Except let's talk about that, Taylor. I want to talk about my home game for a second.
Yeah.
Of which is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Of which they know it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Of which there is explicitly a skill called Search Library.
Yeah.
Of which everyone has a cell phone essentially on them with an enormous amount of information.
Yeah.
Of which nobody does.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. I don't know, dog. Just consider it a compliment. You've made a very good conspiracy, and I don't know what to research. I have tried researching stuff. It just hasn't come up with, like, anything super big. So really, it's your fault.
I need to know what you've been researching.
Say what?
I need to know what you've been researching. I will definitely make a point to put it.
I did it. No. I did it in session. I researched. Sorry, I'm not in cyberpunk mode. What's the guy's name?
Arasaka?
Yeah, the Arasaka guy. I like researched his past or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you got plenty of information on him.
It was all information I kind of already had, though. Like, either way, not the conversation we're having right now. Point is, library search, really important skill, guys. Make sure you use it a lot, and not just once a campaign like what I did.
I actually love it. Wild.
It's hilarious.
If you are just joining us,
oh yeah,
we aren't just talking about our games at home. We are building a tabletop game. It is called Vault Peddlers. It's a science fantasy adventure into a capitalist nightmare. It is the post collapse. It is no longer the post-apocalypse. It is sort of built up, and that is where you find yourselves as a group of ragtag treasure hunters who are taking on contracts that nobody else wants and nobody else really wants you to do, but you get paid the big bucks from bad people to do them. So that's what we're doing. We're fleshing out the sort of joint character that everyone kind of operates under, which is your caravan.
yeah.
Right now, caravan has its own set of, like a smaller set of skills / attributes that we are calling schools, and we are putting on the sort of actionable set of words to it. And every time you lean into that, you get an extra die to roll that you can roll whenever you. So yeah.
Corey and I have been making this game for the last like year and a half on Twitch. We've gone through like a couple iterations of it. And we do so much better because of the feedback that we get from the community. We love hearing from you guys and like getting cool suggestions. We've already gotten like a bunch just this brainstorming session on like different adjectives to use. So if you're seeing stuff that is interesting to you, give us a comment. Let us know what you think. Ask questions. We love getting that interaction. Okay, on that note, do we want to try and fill out this fourth one here, or do we want to try and...
I'm gonna throw something else at you.
Yeah.
Let's remove Static from the top one.
R&D?
Yeah, and let's just do 4 for each.
Yeah, I completely agree. We do need a fourth one for command.
Monster.
There you go. Blood.
Oh, hey, yeah! Big crab.
Blood crab monster.
That's my next tabletop character's name. Blood crab monster.
Blood crab monster.
Blood crab monster.
That's tight. No, it's like, what's your character's name? Blood crab monster.
Ooh, unfeeling.
Elaborate.
I like unfeeling.
Okay, yeah, unfeeling. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense.
That's not the same as militant, obviously. Like, militant is warlike. Unfeeling is like a lack of empathy, right? It is like
militant is unfeeling for the people outside of your caravan. Unfeeling is for the people in your caravan.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no.
Ooh, sacrificial.
Oh yeah, let's do sacrificial. I like that a lot. Sacrificial is a phenomenal.
There, now we did it. We did our word count.
Yeah, yes, Corey, we did it. Not Elstragoon. Elstragoon didn't do it for us.
Elstragoon does half of our design.
Elstragoon is an honorary member of TGS Games. Okay, cool. So we've got our intents. I'm going to go ahead and just delete this because we don't need it. I am going to leave these instructions for how to create your own if you want. I feel like that's helpful. We are getting rid of this table because we're not doing an XP anymore. And I'm going to make a little subdivide here. What is this? A heading 3? So this needs to be a heading 4. Applying your schools polyhedral.
So let's talk relic item.
Yeah, go for it.
I think a relic item gives you it has to incorporate an element of like what the jobs do and an element of what the quirks do. And I think that is how we should balance like caravan relic items. Like they're usually something good and something bad.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Did you say that they are tied to the schools?
I don't know. I don't know. They could be. It might be an easy way to categorize them.
Okay.
So like I was thinking, like we are going to start with a base. Like you start with like a base coffer, right? Like everyone has a coffer, a basic coffer, and it can hold so much money. The way we talked about petty coin is that like you need like an electromagnetic bank basically to hold them in stasis, and having that is dangerous. I think you have a pretty basic safe one in the caravan stock, and it can hold so much. But like a relic could be, you know, a larger bank. The larger bank also holds with it like it might blow up all your shit and set you back like days of travel, which, you know, could cause you not to complete your contract on. So like maybe you tie to it like the DM rolls so many die, and on no successes, it blows up, setting you back a day on overland travel kind of thing. That's the like general idea that I think relics should house. So they can be like contracted things where like, hey, yeah, we want this contract because it's going to give us this cool item. But like the rest of the world, it's kind of put together with bubblegum and shoestring.
Okay.
Did you type all that?
Wait, say that again?
Type all that nonsense I just spewed?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that, because I'm trying to think of the best way to put this all down. Do you want to do something where? How do you see the creation of reliquary items being done? We need to have something that is streamlined and easy for players to do. So the easiest thing that I have, I can tell you what my idea is unless you have something already in mind.
Sorry, let me tell you my idea.
Yeah, go for it.
So I think like going off this questionnaire thing, I think we generate like 5 items and what they do, and those are the starting items that you can all pick from. And then we could include with it in the same way that we're including a way to make different different words that you could use in those word banks.
Yeah.
We could include the framework to make a basic reliquary item. And then as an archivist tool later on in the book, or maybe at the same time in the book, or just the archivist, it's like, hey, if you want to make more advanced reliquary items, this is the platform.
Okay. Cool. So I actually like that idea. And I have an idea for how to make the build your own reliquary item section, because that was more along my idea. You said before that the reliquary item has 2 general aspects of it. There's what does it do versus what are the quirks. So the easiest thing to do, right, is to make 3 lists. 1 is what the item is. It's a gun, it's a grenade, it's a wrench, it's whatever. It's like that's what the physical item is. There's what does it do is the second column. And for that, we have a list of tags similar to what we have in the schools. And these are all beneficial tags that item carries. And then in the third, we have our quirk list, which is a list of negative tags that also apply to that wrench, blade, gun, whatever. But I do think...
standpoint, I'd like to see something that says, like, description.
I'm sorry, finish that out. You're cutting out.
Sorry, my internet's being real junky. Whack it out, too.
You're good.
So, I would like to include, like, a description sentence so you can kind of make it your own. Like, visually, you have a kind of ideas of like now. Like, maybe it's this, like, hulking, bulbous, pulsating thing, and that is your fucking bank. It's like this drone monstrosity that you throw petty coin in and it keeps them in stasis.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's cool as hell.
Okay.
That's very neat. Okay, cool. But for the initial assignment of the reliquary item, we're making 5 items, right?
Okay. Yeah, 4 or 5.
Okay. Cool. So tell me what we need for those 5 items. Obviously, we need the name of the item. We need a brief description. We need an attribute, and we need a quirk. So 4 columns. Okay, cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So I'm just gonna make that table there.
Boy, I really like the rolling table.
Wait, what?
So I would say I like the idea of the rolling table you made. To like, you roll on this die and generate the quirk. Roll on this die and generate the positive thing that it does. So let's do this then. Relic items, like your caravan relic items, have to be items that operate within the caravan, right? They operate in that specific context, just in this space. I don't think it makes sense to have like a rifle here, because that's like a field item, right? And we're gonna have relic items. The idea is to like port the idea that we have on your character sheet over to the broader caravan.
Right.
So I think like an improved bank is definitely like an improved bank is definitely one.
Okay, for sure.
I think that like a broadcast array would be a fun one, because, or like an improved broadcast array. It can reach further distances, but in the intern, it's easier for other people to listen in on you, like other vault peddling groups who might sync up to your call and get somewhere before you can. Oh man, that definitely happens.
Yeah, I love that a lot. Okay. Okay.
We talked about these like wild worm creatures in the like last year.
Yeah.
Like these. What about like some
Shriekers?
sort of like Shrieker Ranch, and like you have a ranch of these things, and they can provide food, which like can lower upkeep costs for things, or make it so you don't have to refill any sort of. We did talk about wanting to have some sort of upkeep cost, right?
Yeah.
So it lowers upkeep costs, but they can go fucking wild and berserk and fucking murder shit.
Okay. Murder people.
Ranch.
Negatively impacting the public's perception of your caravan.
Shriekers were this like wild idea Taylor and I came up with for like these sort of like quilled worms.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So basically, when we had initially thought of caravans as being like these giant communities, one of the things that immediately came to my mind was like, oh, well, so this is it's almost like a nomadic agricultural society. You know, when you have something that big, an operation that big, hunting and gathering really doesn't work. Like you need to have, you know, animal husbandry or some kind of means beyond, right, just filling out contracts to make that work. And so I came up with giant worms that basically are like cattle, except with very sharp hooked beaks that burrow in the ground and eat people sometimes. And
They occasionally do an eat.
They occasionally commit a murder. They commit a light murder. Everyone gets upset about it. It's not important.
It's not normal that you call it a murder when an animal does it usually, but these ones do that sort of in their heart.
Yeah, no, they do it intentionally. It's premeditated. They pick out a victim and they're like, "Oh, that one for sure."
I got one to throw in here.
Yeah.
Inebriant still.
Okay.
So you can color whatever those inebriants are, whether it's hallucinogens, alcohol, yada yada. I think it either is going to make you a mark for people to steal from you and like increase morale, maybe gives you like an extra caravan die to start with, but like makes you kind of an easier to steal from mark, right? Like, first off, you're leaving dispatch at home with a bunch of drugs, so they're going to be like, well, when I'm Rome.
You know, the famous phrase, well, I am Rome. May also take some from time to time, affecting how they interact with you in the field. So what I'm going to put on here is beyond just higher group morale. I like the idea that this maybe leads to like quicker healing.
Ooh, yeah.
So quicker and fuller healing between sessions due to improved downtime. Okay. So
Oh fuck! We're removing jobs. Oh fuck!
what about it?
We're removing jobs, so we removed the way that you recover. Oh wait, no, we don't have to worry about it anymore because we changed how health works.
Yeah, we also did do that, so that should be totally fine. On that note, though, that does leave us a lot of room for a potential. For potential reliquary items.
Yeah, does it? I mean, like, here's the thing. I think that, like, barring items, the only way, like, barring items that allow you to either recover wounds, get rid of like a status effect, yada yada. I think we go stock standard. At the end of a contract, you just heal up, and that's it.
Huh. Okay, well then we'll need to change the benefit for the still then, because if they just heal up, then they heal up.
That's fair. But maybe you can bring that with you, and it lets you have like an item that heals you instead of having to like special reliquary item.
Okay. So provide special healing. I'm gonna put healing potion in quotation marks, which I feel is appropriate. That PCs can use in the field if things get too hairy.
We're gonna revisit all of them.
Real quick gut check. 1 wound, 2 wounds, all wounds. What does it heal?
Let's not define it right now, because I think we're going to have to revisit these anyways.
Okay.
Get a 5th one down.
Did we have a reliquary item? No, you guys had background items that were given to you in the individual character creation. We are now making the character creation a little bit more communal in nature. But I forget what some of the special items that players had.
Like other weapons and stuff.
That was a bone knife.
No, bone knife was a standard weapon.
There was like the globular chuck. There was I made a bunch of wild items.
Hang on 1 second.
The idea here, though, is that these reliquary items, like, kind of operate under the context of in your camp.
Yeah.
Provide, like, overall... Tell you what, we don't have to do these stock standard. You were saying something that I felt was very interesting. Which is, when you pick your province, when someone is operating under the context of that province, they provide, like, one standard like benefit to the party that applies to them. Let's just build those basic province
Okay.
Standards out. Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
tuck and weave a little bit.
Tuck and weave. Okay.
Dying bones.
Yeah, it was like Scrying Bones and like the Mask of the Nocturne and like that stuff.
Wario.
Yeah, there wasn't Oreo. None
No,
of you.
Wario.
Oh, that too. You guys didn't see the Wario though.
He was there.
That was just for me. Okay, so assigning provinces. Okay. What is
I
a
saw
province? Go ahead.
I heard somebody describe Wario as libertarian Mario. And I'm not going to dive in any deeper, but I just think it's very funny.
No, that's definitely one of those things that it's like, elaborate on that, and it's just like, no.
No. It's that fucking,
it's just correct.
He's there. David Lynch, like, despite what people say, primary colors are actually bullshit.
That's it,
like,
yeah.
Would you elaborate on that?
No.
No. There's a fish in the percolator. Okay, yeah, so what do we have? What do we have for provinces?
Hang on one sec, so again, the following.
Hey guys, I'm gonna do a dance.
Oh, actually. Provinces. The party gains the following benefits. Okay. So we have. One sec. We have Croaker. Spoiler. We have Rope Walker and Shepherd. We have Pharaoh, Weaver, and Reckoner, technically.
Pharaoh, Weaver, and Reckoner.
We may still want to get rid of Weaver for the moment.
Yeah, let's just get rid of him for the moment.
Yeah.
We're so back and forth on having the Weaver in because having one less is easier.
God, it's just one of those things that, like, I love having magic in games. I don't know why. I'm a huge dork that way, but, like, man, that's turned into such a fucking bee's nest. Okay, so the simplest strategy I can come up with for what to do with provinces is literally just, it's a +1 die that all party members get when in certain situations. So the example that I gave was for Reckoners. It is +1 die to all rolls made during combat. Right?
Oh, okay.
The Pharaoh would be +1 die to all rolls made during negotiations. Rope Walker is +1 to all rolls made during, like, so when attempting to sneak. Spoiler is during research. Croaker is when trying to heal someone. The basic idea here is that because you have, like, the Rope Walker there to, like, point out, like, this is how you sneak, like, kind of giving you that on-field advice, it's basically an automatic buff to the rest of the party, where they get to have this additional die. It's simple, it's straightforward, it works perfectly with your core mechanics.
How many skills do we have?
We have a few. Hang on one sec. Where are skills? Skills and
Looking
uses.
for it, I'm not.
It's under mechanics. There's the basic roles, approaches, and what they do, and then skills and uses. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And how many
How many provinces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 currently. Thought that was going to fit really neatly in there, huh?
At least to be divisible or something.
Yeah, right?
Well, because honestly, the easiest way to do it would be if we could just like pop a skill into each one, and then anytime that skill comes up, boom, everyone, anytime you roll it, you all get like a +1 to that. It
Sure.
would be very easy to like to have you choose the kinds of things that you were doing, and like if we know that we're going into a museum to steal something, it's like, well, we're gonna want a fucking rope walker there because anytime we're gonna do skullduggery, we'll get a bonus.
We'll need a spoiler there to do research. We'll need a pharaoh there as a face in case we need to talk our way out of stuff.
So I think that, and it also lends itself to like, now we can start thinking about if we put these different things together, like they can start affecting approaches. They can start affecting like situational things, like you were talking about, like breaking down a door kind of shit. Like, but they don't divide evenly is my only thing.
They don't. I mean, I still think you could narratively do this. And make it something that still really works. The only thing I would have kind of a problem with, and I don't actually know, did we get rid of Shepherd? We did.
Yeah,
They weren't available for last playtest, so we actually have 5 provinces.
Worse. Before they were both divisible by 3. 5's not.
Yeah, but now there are specific use cases for all these things, though.
Yeah.
Like medicine, research, stealth, negotiations, combat. Right?
Yeah.
You just don't seem super enthused about it.
Medicine feels like a odd man out. Throw in me.
Yeah.
Well, and like I almost think that like situational. Well, no, let's lean into it. Let's do that. I just feel like it's going to slow down table play in a way that like if they were tied to skills, it wouldn't, because like
you've already got the skills in front of you, and
right. I could make some argument being like, this is going to be this because of this.
Look, we don't need to have every skill represented here. What if we just picked the skill that best suits him? I mean, obviously,
and then we could have...
Yeah, obviously Reckoner is brutality. Obviously Rope Walker is skullduggery.
Yeah, and then we could have... we could have different combinations of them. Actually, no, because then we could have different combinations of them, like, provide another skill, right? Like, if you have this combination, at least this many, like, at least a Reckoner of a Pharaoh and a spoiler in your party, now you get, like, the impression roll as well. You all get to add.
Okay.
And that's how we can do, like...
Are we doing that for every permutation of 3 that comes out of these 5?
Let's not think about that yet.
Well, no, we have to think about that right now, because if we're going to commit to that, then we need to... I really like the idea of keeping them individual and letting players use them to correspond to, like, a specific thing. If we're going to do this thing where, like, having, like, a spoiler, a Pharaoh, and a Reckoner all together at once gives you, like, a group ability, then at that point it's not even interlocking. That's just a singular feat that you're getting for picking these things.
I mean, it is interlocking because it is. You have to have each one of these. They interlock in a way that gives you access to something that you normally. However,
yeah.
I think that we should, if we are going to do that, we should approach that from the idea of the dispatch. I think that your dispatch should change depending on like who they have on the field.
Okay. How does that narratively work? What does that mean?
the things they could do should like because dispatch is coordinating how everyone is interacting, right? Like they're coordinating the overtop view.
Right.
It is so if you have someone who is in charge of this thing and someone who is in charge of this thing, it is going to be different than if you send somebody out with a field medic pack, right?
Right.
What they can do on the field and how they are coordinated is different than if you sent somebody out with like a contract bag.
Okay.
So that is my thing. I don't know. It goes back to if we are going to have dispatch there, they need to be able to do something that affects Shane.
Okay. Sorry, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm also reading what Elstragoon is putting in the chat because he's given us like an essay and a wealth of ideas. Let me see here. Buff weird army-wide buffs. What about classes that grant re-rolls instead of a +1? Or a class that says whenever you get a caravan dice, it's one type better, or a class that gets to add their buff to other classes, or a class that doubles the effect of another class. Defender class could limit the amount of damage you can take from a single attack. These are all great fucking ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's about how you want to do it. I mean, granted, I am providing you with just a very simple, straightforward idea of what I think would work. If we want to get more intricate with it, we can. Are you there?
Hello?
Oh, okay. Yep, there we go. We're good.
Weird. I don't know what is going on right now.
It's all good. We're just having spotty internet. By the way, this is maybe a good time to just say, if you're tuning in for the first time and you don't know what you're looking at, hi, we're TGS Games. We do a weekly stream where we build out our new tabletop RPG game called Vault Peddlers. Right now, we're in the process of building out the caravan system, which is basically something that mechanically the end result is that it gives you additional die on certain rolls. Right now we're building out the provinces, which are kind of like jobs that your players fulfill within that caravan. But we've been doing this for a year. As you can see from the chat, Elstragoon is a very active participant in that chat. He gives us no end of great ideas and suggestions. We love hearing from the community. So please feel free to input suggestions in the chat if you're not sure what's going on, if you want stuff explained. We love going into depth on this stuff. So fire away.
Hey, I'm actually going to make a section called Community Ideas and just copy and paste what else you can. So here's the thing, Taylor. I think we can do both. I would like to get, right now we are getting into like the nitty gritty and meaty part of tabletop design, and these sessions are hard. Yeah. They're tough. I mean, they're draining on us. It's tough. It's tough to watch. These things they take time. So here's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I would like to get granular in the way that Elstragoon is describing. I think it will be interesting, but I think that let's start with what you said, because at the very base, we know that having a Reckoner in is going to do that. And I think your choice, but skill or situational, I think they both work. I think situational is probably a neater fit, but it could potentially lead to longer decision times at the table. But that's why we're going to play test it. So let's pick one, and then the other one we can go to afterwards if we don't like it.
Yeah.
So you want to try situational?
Let's actually go with your suggestion here. If we're going to go with the base roll that I'm making here, which is just a plus die to X, then let's take your suggestion and apply it to a skill each.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so Pharaoh would be +1 die to all parlay rolls.
Holy shit, Elstream.
Also been trying to install a mouse in Windows 95. What's wrong with you? What? Why would you do that to yourself?
Dude, you are, without a doubt,
One of my favorite people.
What the fuck?
Although you should be careful about being one of my favorite people. Taylor's one of my favorite people.
Hey,
And look
get
where-
out. Get out while you still can. Okay, so +1 die. For spoiler, what is that? Do we have like an
Library
archival?
use.
Library use.
Hold on, I gotta get back to the skills. I really did copy and paste what Elstragoon said because it was real good shit.
It was really good shit. No, I don't blame you.
Skills and uses. Okay. A spoiler. Deduction, I think, probably works the best. Or appraisal.
I mean, I feel like players are going to use deduction a lot more. Appraisal's going to be a lot
do
more
deduction.
niche. Huh?
Do deduction.
Okay, cool. So all...
We want these to be our money maker.
Yeah. Okay, and then Croaker... Actually, is Croaker even... Did we keep Croaker?
I don't know. Did we get rid of him?
For some reason, I actually thought that they were not available. I guess they were available.
It's repair, by the way.
Okay, yeah, repair would be the one. Gonna repair a person.
well, I mean, it does track, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, it's kind of what you're doing.
especially in our world where it's like, my robot arm's really hurting. Oh, when'd you get that? I was born with it. I'm sorry, what? Someone massaged my cogs and gears.
Okay.
Rope walker, skullduggery.
Yeah, skullduggery. What was it? Repair. Repair rolls. Okay. Okay, yeah. So these are the base benefits. And then, do you want to just pose a couple of potential suggestions for combinations, and then we can, like, look at additional benefits there?
No, because I feel like we're getting like in the weeds right now, and I think like talking about lore is gonna end this on a very positive, like very net.
Cool. All right, sick. So if that's the case, I think that's kind of it, at least for what we need to do on screen. Everything else is going to be kind of off screen, where I'm like redrawing out like the die type. But no, we've done the questionnaire regarding the intent. We have talked about assigning the polyhedral die. We've assigned the reliquary item. And we have selected starting province. So it sounds then like community goals are kind of out.
Still need to come up with a way that you gain and lose.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
well, and corresponding upkeep is also a big one. Okay, cool. So that'll be something maybe. Do you want to do that now, or do you just want to dive into lore?
No, I want to dive into lore.
Okay,
My
cool.
brain hurt.
Yeah.
I had a fucking bad day, my dude.
Yeah, no, that is honestly fine. I don't know. I'm in a weird, fuzzy place right now. Okay, so let's jump over to our lore dump here. Corey, what are we talking about today?
Well, we already talked about fucking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
extensively.
Lore. About Zeriax and how fast he is. No, let's talk about something new. Let's not talk about the shotgun wizard.
I mean, if you really don't wanna.
Well, we actually didn't write our deities down, did we? We just like kind of said them last session.
Yeah, I just looked them up. If you want, we can copy and paste that into a new doc into this one.
Yeah, let's like pick and choose and like kind of define them a bit.
Cool.
That'll be.
So yeah, let's.
So
if you are just joining us,
You've never played Vault Peddlers before, because very few people have. And even those who have, haven't played this iteration of it.
Nah.
We wanted to create a world in which the deities are, I mean, they're deities in name, right? Well, in power level. Maybe they aren't actual deities in the tradition. They don't reside on a different plane of existence. But they do control, like, domains of power in a very broad and real way.
Yeah.
They're actual, like, things. Like, deities exist on this plane, in this world, and they control very real things, both domains of power and, like, broad areas of, like, physical space. And I think they are essentially gods in that right. And you could probably make the argument that, like, they have amassed so much of that they have really ascended the idea of, like, immortal creature. And we came up with a bunch of kick-ass names a year ago, and I want to dive into them a little. Dude,
right.
he actually does. Okay, he does have a pump action wand.
Read my mind.
Let's talk about Zeriax a little bit, because it is something that I think is very cool, because it's, whenever I think of Vault Peddlers, it is one of the first things that pops into my head into, like, the broader waste of the world. Like, in the, I don't know what we'd call it, like the periphery, which seems like a rad word to call the uninhabited lands. But they have, like, these, like, looming machine towers, which are, like, these, like, very thin spires that are inaccessible, and inside of them, nobody really knows, except these, like, automatons march out, like, with blinking red lights, and march between the different machine towers, controlling this, like, large territory. And inside of those machines, moving as a man does, is Zeriax, who we have deemed the shotgun wizard. I mean, he's, like, essentially our topmost magic. He's amassed, like, a lot of relics, I think, is what it is.
Well, the inspiration for Zeriax came, I think, from an episode of Stargate SG-1, where they came into, like, this other planet or whatever, and everybody was talking about, oh yeah, like, there's this god, he walks among us, and all that stuff. And it was actually just a dude who, like, had a gun, and it was like, oh yeah, he hits us with, like, mighty fire or whatever, like metal fire. And everybody's like, what the hell are they talking about? It's like, yeah, it's just a dude with a gun. And, like, that's basically what Zeriax is. He is somebody who has access to a great deal of technology that other people have kind of mistaken for, like, supernatural ability, which he just plainly does not have. Nonetheless, he does have a great deal of technological power, which makes him, as much a deity on Eba as anything else is.
Well, and I think, like, with the, like, automaton army and, like, this role of this area, I mean, he basically has fealty over, like, pre-war, or pre-war is probably the, like, pre-fall tech, right? Like,
yeah.
He probably has the most amassed section of it. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and name an enemy for him.
Okay.
Augustus is his enemy.
Oh, okay. I'm actually gonna put that right here.
Augustus controls the halls of the Awoken, and he controls, like, pre-fall memory, and like, the lineage of thought. And I think he is directly at odds with Zeriax, because Zeriax controls what he deigns to have, which is technology with which he was born, right? Like, it's his birthright as far as he's concerned, and it has been usurped by someone who was born in the fall.
Yeah, and not only that, somebody who, like, the only human he could ever see having control over this stuff would be Altfinch, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's, if there is a human on Eba that has ever lived that Augustus actually respects, it's Altfinch. That's the reason that he runs the halls of the Awoken. That's the reason that he does the work that he does. It's the one maybe guiding principle for Augustus, is this idea of what would Altfinch do, right? He carries like a bracelet and everything.
That's just what I was saying. Yeah.
Right? And then here's this fucking guy who, yeah, like you said, like he has usurped all of this stuff, and he is no Altfinch, right?
I think it like as like complicated as Altfinch's history, of which it is.
Oh,
like,
very.
But he did do things ostensibly for what he considered to be the greater good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the opposite of what Zeriax does. He does not interact with people. He hoards all this technology and sends like his automaton army between his lands to patrol it and make sure that he controls it. Like,
yeah, 1000%.
He's an old miser who like sits on top of his machine towers laughing and like, I think he takes great pleasure in Augustus not having this technology too.
Yeah, no, I think that you're absolutely right. I think it's a really good poll that these two would not be friends. Okay, cool. So let's go down these then. So obviously Zeriax is staying. The shotgun wizard was never in danger of leaving. He was always going to be here.
Should we name like domains? Like in Dungeons and Dragons, they have like in Pathfinder, you have like domains. Does that
like
make sense?
so no. It's because the god above Zeriax is named Domain. So I didn't.
Oh, right.
I was all fucked up. You mean actual geographical areas where this person is?
Geographical or like power, like for Zeriax, it is like pre-fall technology is his domain, right?
Oh,
and,
I see what you're saying. Okay,
and
yeah.
like as a negative trait, probably like hoarding or just being a general shithead.
Yeah.
And maybe this isn't stuff that goes into the book, but it is good classification for us to have.
Yeah. Selfishness. I'm gonna put hoarding.
And vindictive, right? He's vindictive. Or maybe vindictive is wrong. He's like taunting.
Yeah, he's definitely petty, I think is maybe the word. Like he's definitely somebody who obsesses over the small things, and like he won't like Augustus is a perfect example. I think he regularly taunts Augustus, however he can. So I think petty works really well for him.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about Domain. This is basically the tunneler god. And what
Here's
this
my
essentially...
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we talking about the individualized, like, systems of domain that are these separate tunneler mainframes that, like... Or are we talking about, like, the coalesced satellite version of domain?
Well, this is the evergreen question when it comes to tunneler communities, right? Because as we've discussed, tunnelers, by and large, are just the mainframe, right? It's a hive mind society.
Yeah.
So does the hive mind go all the way to the top is basically the question. Is this really all just one individual thing, right? I've just kind of realized, are tunnelers Buddhist? Are they like all about oneness and like seeking oneness and harmony?
I think there's one subsection of tunnelers that are, which
For
is
sure.
the one about unification.
Yeah.
I will go so far as to say this. I don't think tunnelers are a true hive mind. I think that there are partitions of thought that not all tunnelers have access to.
Yeah.
Which is like why we get disconnected tunnelers, why we get tunnelers who like come back and decide that it is unfair. Like there is like some sort of classism here. It's nebulous and shit, but yeah, I think it does exist.
Okay, cool. Well, so then if that is the case, then the fact is, I mean, what we have here is that domain is effectively the sum of all of the different tunneler mainframes.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, really it sounds like all of these tunneler mainframes are actually the key to unlocking a separate entity, which is domain. Domain is its own separate thing, right?
Yeah, and we mentioned something before about how domain, like they all connected by satellite. Maybe it like exists in orbit. Whatever domain is.
Domain is just up there waiting.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Okay, sick. Let me actually, I'm gonna put that up here. Hang on one second here. Creates essential AI composed of one pure information. This AI currently awaits contact in low orbit over the planet, waiting for the day when its mainframes come back online.
And it's like it organizes information, catalogs.
Okay. So organizing information. Detached would probably be a good downfall.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like that's maybe too on the nose for computers, but it's an easy one.
I think we. Here's the other thing. I don't know if domain is actually, which would be a fun turn on things. Like if domain,
actually a robot, if domain is actually like a biological.
Yeah, like a biological creature that got stuck in like stasis.
It's a fembot in a femputer's world.
Well, I'm thinking like, it's exactly that. No, I'm thinking about so this book, my favorite book that you refused to read.
Oh, the Time Spiders.
Welcome to Time Spiders, our new game. It starts with this woman who's like, she's like in charge of this like, what do you call it when you brain a planet to be livable? Terraforming project.
Terraforming, yeah.
But like some big accident happens and she ends up in this stasis pod. She's like, well, I will just stay here for as long as I need to. But she stays in there way longer than she's supposed to. So it like creates this like AI generation of her that follows her directions, but she's in it so long that those things get like merged and connected and wormed into each other.
Oh, so this is almost like the Borg Queen.
Yeah, it's just like this metastasized biology in space. And I think it, like, we talked about how we want deities to be physical in the world.
Yeah.
Connected technology pretty often. Like searching for the tunneler mainframes and a way to connect them. It like creates like weirdness in relay technology.
Elstragoon, you need to tell Corey about your Time Spider book so he can stop talking to me about his Time Spider book. Also, to answer your question, although humans I don't think ever really left orbit, except for maybe this guy, whoever it was, they definitely did put satellites into orbit. And that would be theoretically where domain is.
Yeah.
It's in a satellite that is orbiting the planet.
The tomb on the horizon, domain.
Ooh, I like that. Hey,
Shit.
Don't chew that, please.
What am I think that would be cool.
Do you want to? Well, wait. Do you want to commit to that, or what? What do you think?
I like the idea of the god of machines being metastasized biology.
Okay, cool. Hang on one second then. So, creates essential AI composed of pure information that linked with metastasized biology in space. We'll get to that later. Right now, We're gonna move on. Okay.
I want to hear about your favorite.
My favorite god. Let me have a look. Well, of course, Duna Brining, definitely up there. No, I think, honestly, so here's the thing. My whole deal when we first made Vault Peddlers was the idea that the ocean is treacherous. And yeah, it's the idea that the ocean is like this, for however dangerous Eba is on land, it is infinitely more dangerous when you get below the surface. And so, not just for the purposes of like a fun inside joke, She Who Waits in the Trenches is a truly terrifying creature. For those of you who don't know, which is everyone, this is just a giant fucking crab who lives on the floor of the ocean. We later decided that she's worshipped by the Palyutar, just because they are a seafaring society. They are from under the ocean themselves. But initially, when we first made up this god, this was just a lone monster who was just living in Quickreef, living in the wake and the refuse of this natural disaster, who effectively was happy minding her own business, but deeply, deeply disrespected people who would invade that business. And so, yeah, no, She Who Waits in the Trenches is probably one of my favorite creations that Corey and I have made.
I think her downfalls, like, or gluttony.
Yeah, she is god of the hunt.
I also think it might be an Oh man, that actually is a nice parallel too, because gods of the hunt are usually like some sort of noble or like judicious provider of life and death. Whereas like I like the idea of her downfall being like gluttony and like.
Well, something that is, I want this to be like a god of the hunt that is in no way noble. This is like a god of the hunt who kills, I mean, obviously first and foremost, like for sustenance or whatever, sure. But like she enjoys it also, like on a weird level, which I guess really hunters just kind of generally do. Sorry, don't want to be that guy, but I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like that's...
They enjoy it, right? Like that's...
I mean, they say they enjoy it, right? Like
yeah,
that's...
exactly.
I don't feel like that's being a dick about it, but like...
No, that's...
in a very weird, sadistic kind of way.
Right,
I think...
Yeah. It's not about conservation.
No, absolutely not.
It's some big Shelob energy.
Yeah! It's an underwater Shelob.
I have an idea for how she started.
Yeah, go for it.
If we're talking about like the breeding pits and the genealogical experimentation of
fuck.
Of the Palyutar, like maybe they inadvertently like leaked some of that genealogical experimentation out, and like it didn't like put some nascent thought of like these are the people that propagated me. It instead like awoken what was already a thing in that crab, which was hunting and like consumption, and now like more of that. So it like elevated her thought and her ability and size. And it's also, I realize, Children of the Corn, the god in Children of the Corn is he who walks behind the rose.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, which is very much this.
Yeah, no, 1000%. Love the pull with the genetic, the breeding pits. That's insane. I hadn't even thought about that as a potential answer. Okay, so I did want to ask you about your thoughts on the Quickreef being included in this list.
I think I like the idea of Quickreef being a mysterious, nebulous thing that is like mutagenic and is transforming things but I like it being a big mystery.
Okay. So, not a god then, right? Not a deity.
No, I think it's more of like a, it's just a matter of course.
Okay, cool. I think that works just fine then.
This next one's actually my favorite name.
It's a badass name. We need to definitely flesh it out more. Because we have talked a lot about what happened in the first year of Ishtas. We admittedly haven't talked about what's happened since. And admittedly, I mean, that's not like teasing the audience. Like, Corey and I also don't know. But I do think that it has a huge impact on the formation of the Holy Eye, the Terror, and the Screams.
Most metal name I've
God, seriously, it's absolutely... it's metal as hell.
So it's a propaganda machine initially, right? Like they found the eye or the the face of God, but it was like an entertainment array that went over the city, and then they used the formation of the city to create a kind of deity that people fell in line with to make the city easier to control.
Well, yeah, it was because initially, if I remember the Quiet Year correctly, Ishtas was initially two camps. There was a main city, and then there was a group of I forget the word we used for them. It was something like pilgrims or something like that went off into the mountains. The pilgrims eventually came back down close to the end of the year and threatened to invade the city and raze it to the ground. And they were stopped by the presence of the Eyes of God, which were, again, this entertainment array. It's this projector, effectively, that creates these dancing lights in the sky that create pictures of, in this case, right, a giant eye that looks down on the city. And as a result, the pilgrims totally abandoned their quest. Many of them joined the city of Ishtas, and many of them just scattered to the four winds. But the basic idea is that over time, it sounds like a lot of pre-collapse technology, because that's where this thing comes from. This thing too eventually became sentient. And this thing too watched people worship it and pray to it and come up with all of these different ideas of things to appease it. And it started to absorb that and say, you know what? I am a god.
I think that how it started, and let's also look at, we have the transfer pit, right, where they were turning biological things into technological things. That was one of the bad. I think that this entertainment array used in this way, very much on this idea of sentience, but I don't know if it's self-sentience. I think that every form of the council that has used this thing in order to enact these things have inadvertently put pieces of themselves and their thought processes, their machinations into it by programming it to do these things. So it's wound itself up around this idea of propaganda and around this idea of control. Very much in what you said, it's I am a god, because they keep programming it to be a god, and it keeps enacting the city's desires because it has been enacting that for so long. But now it's gotten so far flung that it's got its own desires for the city.
So let me ask you this: when you say it's the sum of all of the councils of Ishtas, does that mean that all of these personalities are existing within this AI?
Yeah, I think elements of them are.
Okay, I'll go for elements. Again, I want to be wary of overusing the hive mind.
I don't think it's that. I think it's that In fact, I don't even think it's like elements of their personality. It's like all of the different programming that they've typed into this thing, all of the things that they have told it to do, have given it, like all the designs. And I think it's now at this point where like the council has to make suggestions to the city now, right? Like, you have to make suggestions to how the city should protect itself with the eye, the screams, and the holy terror. And it might say no.
Okay. So, domain and downfall.
Domain propaganda and belief, or
so when you say domain, then like this is the god of propaganda. Is that what that means?
Yeah, like pretty much that.
Okay. Yeah, propaganda and information maybe makes sense. I don't know. I feel like it'd be a weird thing. I don't think here's the thing. The people of Ishtas definitely don't consider it the god of propaganda, right?
Right. And maybe propaganda is its downfall.
You know what I think is actually its downfall?
What?
Is maybe insecurity.
Yeah, I like that.
The idea that it's been fed this information, it's been told this so many times that it is a god, that like it believes it, but it's got like, it's like it knows what its original purpose was, and so its programming is constantly fighting with itself as far as what its actual purpose is.
Sure, yeah, I like that. I think insecurity makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So maybe it's the god of like propagation of belief. The information feels like you're cataloging or taking in it. That's not what this thing's doing.
No, this is like controlling information. I just like propagation of belief. Like, I don't think the people of Ishtas are all. I don't think they're going to be worshiping that either. They're not going to the Church of Propagation of Belief. It's I mean, the people of Ishtas would tell you this is the god of the desert, right?
Yeah,
they would tell you it's the god of the desert. It's the god of agriculture. It's the god of the sands. It's the god of like that. It's the god of the oasis. Like that's what the people would tell you. Behind the screen, we know that's not the truth.
I like the god of the oasis. I think that that's kind of what it is too, because like Ishtas is that, right? Like, it is this geodesic, like, floating city of fucking, like, elaborate technology and, like, just, like, greenery in the middle of fucking nothing. Like a blighted wasteland.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay, cool. Then, yeah, God of the Oasis it is. It also kind of fits the behind-the-screen version. Just because, like, I don't know, being an oasis in the middle of nowhere, I think that the robot kind of understands that, too. So, all right. So, Screaming Prophet, Locust of War, you're going to have to fill me in on this one, because I don't really remember this guy at all.
I don't either. Well, we haven't talked about the Sparrow at all.
Oh, yeah, those were an old playable species, weren't they?
Yeah, we could probably... I mean, I like
Axe
the
that?
name. Yeah, we can get rid of it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that one's gone. Dooner Brining, obviously, legit god. The most real god that we've ever made.
God of Rebellion.
God of Rebellion, yeah. God of Rebellion and... I don't know, even, like, going further than that, like, God of the People, or, like, some kind of, like, populist thing.
I mean, that could be as down. Populism can be dangerous, too, right?
True. Populism
Downfall.
and...
Like Rebellion, because that is what he was. Like, he was...
Yeah.
And if we're thinking about Dooner Brining now, too, like Dooner Brining is a reflection of what he is like memory drop. But Dooner Brining's probably the closest thing we have to an actual.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's definitely like the Jesus figure, right?
Yeah.
Like he's the only one that I think we actually have who like this is actually a god who maybe cares about people. I don't think the other gods really do.
And like Dooner Brining, like I think is like the best that I can understand is like a reflection of belief, right? Like
Yeah.
Dooner Brining, the real Dooner Brining died a long time ago, but all of these Vault Peddlers still talk about Dooner Brining. And that is what, like, quite literally, belief brought him to. Maybe he is the only good mutation of money that ever happened.
I'm actually going to put that in. That's great. Perhaps the only good.
I've never read or watched American.
I've read American Gods, and it's wonderful. I haven't seen the series. I've heard it's good. I will say, if you're going to go on a Neil Gaiman trip, I was actually a bigger fan of Anansi Boys, which is also phenomenal. But yeah, really enjoyed American Gods. I thought it was very fun. Okay.
Let's probably wrap it up here.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'll be honest, I'm kind of running out of steam. So I think this is a good spot to do it. Well, folks, just in closing, if you liked what you've seen here, we are TGS Games. We spend a whole lot of time every week building out all of these gaming systems and building out the lore of this world for Vault Peddlers, which we hope to have a first edition at least published digitally sometime, like, I don't know. What do you think? What?
That won't be first edition. We're going to be calling that like Alpha.
Yeah, sorry, Alpha Quick Rules. And that'll be, we're hoping for end of the year, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. It might not end up being that, but we'll see. In addition, we make cool little GM tools. Into the Sunset is a little piece of GM audio that you can download for free at DriveThruRPG. I made it live on Twitch a couple of weeks ago for our kind of offshoot streaming session called Background Ballads, which I do every other week on Tuesday. We stream every week here at 6 p.m. Doing our game dev stream on Wednesdays at 6. And yeah, we just want to thank you so much if you have tuned in and you have sat and listened to us and just hung out. We very much appreciate the support. We very much appreciate the interaction. I feel like I'm rambling at this point. Corey, is there anything I forgot?
No, dog. I think we covered it.
Hell yeah. Cool. All right. Well, then we are outie. See y'all later. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.